Welcome to another day where I translate my inner world. Recently, I started to realize that whatever we notice in someone else kind of shows us the person we are unconsciously wanting to become. Nobody notices the same thing in another person. Like we'll all look at one person or look at one event, and every single one of us will notice something differently. We'll notice something different in that given event or within that person, and basically what we notice represents the patterns we're tracking. It represents the details of life we're noticing. For example, whenever I'm in class and I'm listening to a professor speak, the things I'm noticing are things like I wonder how that professor deals with being perceived. I wonder how that professor is managing everyone's eyes on them. Is that professor like planning what they're saying, or is everything on the spot? How does that professor feel when they're speaking in front of everyone? Another student might not notice that at all. They're probably noticing different things like oh, like that professor is really smart, or like I need to study for that test that he's talking about. Um and this is because what we notice and what we track in others are is like a reflection of our own identity. I like speaking. I want to learn how to be a public speaker, or I want to learn how to be myself in front of a crowd. So when I'm sitting in class and I'm talking, not talking, when I'm sitting in class and hearing my professor talk, the things I'm noticing about that professor reflect my most inner desires. What you notice in someone reflects who you believe you are, or who you believe you're becoming. Somebody else is in class and they're not thinking about any of those things I'm thinking about, because they're thinking about different things that reflect their identity. Sometimes also the things we notice in people doesn't just reflect like the parts of us that we're becoming, but maybe parts of us that we lack. So first for me, there's a specific friend I have that is really soft spoken and super sweet. And when I see her, those are the things I notice, because to me, those are qualities that I feel like I don't embody as much, and those are qualities that I'd like to what's it called, strengthen. I'm not like a mean person, but I'm very hard spoken. I'm very like blunt, and this friend of mine is very soft and so warm. And what I see in her is also a direct reflection of my identity, or lack of those parts in my identity. Because sometimes we don't only notice in others what we want to cultivate, we also notice things in ours. We also notice what we don't have. Like, I may notice someone who's bold, and I may notice those parts about them and the way they speak. They're bold, they're outspoken, they're fiery, because I inhabit those characteristics in my life. So that's what I notice in someone else. But again, someone who's really warm and really soft spoken, I notice those traits too, because it's the contrast of what I believe I embody. Those like warm, soft spoken, very sweet traits are kind of like highlighting the contrast, the parts of me that are the opposite of that. So pay attention to the things that you notice in the world or in people, because it's a direct reflection of what is within you and the character traits you want to develop, or the life trajectory you're setting yourself on. There's so much stimuli in the world, like you're not perceiving everything. You're only perceiving the patterns your brain is choosing to track. And the patterns your brain or mind, whatever, is choosing to track is tied straight to your identity and to the life path you're trying to form. And obviously, the life path you're trying to form is straight from your identity. It's straight from who you believe you are and who you want to become. So I find it really interesting whenever somebody's talking to me and they're telling me their opinions about someone, or they're telling me their thoughts about something, I can see the identity they're reinforcing within themselves, or the identity they're trying to cultivate due to what they are noticing. It's really easy to tell somebody's inner world based upon what they notice in someone else, what they notice in a certain event. Everything you notice is a direct reflection of your inner world. Somebody may look at me and notice certain qualities of me, and somebody else might look at me, do the same exact thing, and notice completely different qualities, because their brains, their minds are tracking different patterns and different qualities based upon who they are, or based upon who they are trying to become. So sometimes we notice not just parts of us and other people. For example, like I said, I notice professors when they're speaking. Anybody who's public speaking, or I'm at an event, I don't sit there and just be a part of the audience and take in the event. I am tracking how that person is speaking. I am tracking how that person does with all these eyes on them. Why? Because that reflects my inner world. It reflects who I want to be. If I want to be a speaker, clearly that's an identity that's important to my ego. So when I'm watching speakers, when I'm in class, when I'm watching anyone speak to a crowd, I'm paying attention to their body language, to how they handle themselves, their breath, because it reflects things that I'm actively cultivating within myself. But not only that, like, I will also notice the lack of those character traits in people too. It goes both ways. Like, we don't just notice qualities that we have. We also use people as mirrors to represent qualities that we don't have. It's like two sides of the same coin. You notice people and you notice things about them based upon who you believe you are and who you believe you're not. So we use the world and we use people as reinforcers of our identity and our worldview, even if they are showing us the lack of it, if that makes sense. It's like we also see the lack of it in other people, but it's still reinforcing and reflecting the identity we are operating off of. And I like that I found this out, or that I realized it, because it really shows you that you can't really cultivate anything you're not noticing in the world. Like, and so if you're noticing something in someone else, like not a good trait, but like a trait that you want to develop, if you're noticing it in someone else, that already means your ego mind, your identity is wanting to cultivate those traits. Like, you don't notice what you're not ready to embody, if that makes sense. Like, you won't perceive it in someone else. For example, when I was in high school, I wasn't sitting there analyzing how my teacher was public speaking. I wasn't analyzing their public speaking skills. I wasn't analyzing their body language. I wasn't analyzing the verbiage they use and how they handle exposure to all of these students watching them speak. I wasn't analyzing those things. I was sitting there being a student and listening to the information they were telling me, because my identity at the time was just as being a student. So I wasn't analyzing those things about them, because at the time I identified as a student. So I literally could not perceive the things I am perceiving now. The things that you perceive in people is solely based upon what you are ready to embody. When I was 16, I wasn't ready to think about being a public speaker. I wasn't thinking about those things, so I didn't perceive those things. Now, at 23, I am perceiving these things in my professors. The teaching didn't change. Like, the aspect of being in school and being taught by someone didn't change. I changed, and what I notice about the world changes. What I notice about people change, because what I am perceiving is a direct reflection of who I want to become. So that being said, to me, when I start to see character traits in people that reflect where I want to be, that means that I'm already on the track to becoming that person. Because I don't think you can become something that you can't perceive. Like, you would never even live in the reality where you believe you are that if you didn't perceive it first. We create from our inner world. Like, we cultivate our identity and the thoughts about ourselves from our inner world first. So it starts off with our perception of people. It starts off with our perception of the world. So the mere fact that I am observing people's public speaking skills is showing me that I'm on the road to developing that skill, because I am perceiving it in people. You can't become what you're not perceiving. So just know that if there's someone you want to become, if there's like a type of identity you want to embody, if you're noticing that trait in people, you're literally already on your way to embodying it. For example, I don't notice things about fashion or makeup. Like, I notice it as like, I tell people, oh, like, you look so good, like, I like your outfit. But I'm sure there are people who look at someone's outfit or look at their makeup and can like identify the smallest parts or the color palettes that make that whole entire outfit or makeup look like pop or be as like amazing as it is. Like, there are people who have an eye for that. They are tracking those patterns. And that is a representation of who that person operates as like a whole. Like, that person probably has an eye for art, has an eye for clothing, has an eye for makeup, and they are actively embodying that identity. And you can see by the things that they notice in their world. I'm not a makeup guru. I'm not like a fashion stylist. I don't notice these things in my world, because that is not the identity I am choosing to embody. That doesn't mean that like I don't like admire it, like we can see it, but I don't notice the intricate details of things like that have to do with fashion or makeup. I notice things that have to do with psychology, body language, emotions, public speaking, because those are the things I'm actively watering in within myself. So you can see everyone's talents and everything a person becomes outwardly, it starts off with the minute things you can't even notice. It starts off with what that person is perceiving every single day, the patterns that person is tracking. Who you become and the talents you put time into and the skills you increase is contingent upon the patterns you're tracking in other people and in your day-to-day life. So even if you don't have a certain trait that you notice in someone, that means that you can embody that trait because you are noticing it in someone. You couldn't embody something you don't notice, even if it's the lack of it. For example, I had a friend ask me questions about how I speak and like my comfortability with it, because she struggles with like anxiety, just like many people do. Anxiety with just like being themselves, like public speaking or whatever I'm doing. Like, she was just asking me like, how do you do that? Because I could never. That is a perfect example of how she actually can. Why? because she noticed it in me. If she didn't notice it in me, then that would mean it's not a character trait she's trying to cultivate, so she won't cultivate it. But the fact that she is seeing certain parts about me being reflected indicates that she is able to develop those traits. Even if she saw me and reflected it back to herself as like a lack of it, like she felt like, I don't know how she does that because I could not do that. Even if it was like negative like that exact statement, do you see the pattern she just tracked? The pattern was how I could not public speak like that. Like, I don't know how you're speaking and you're so like okay with just like being yourself. Because she noticed that in me means that she's able to cultivate it within herself. Even if it reflects the lack of it, she could not become those traits if she didn't perceive it in someone else. Some people watch me and don't think about those questions, so they will never cultivate the corresponding identity. Some people look at me and think about other things because what you see in me is a direct reflection of who you are and who you want to become. So even if you notice something in someone else and you are at the identity that isn't like them, like you're actually looking at them and admiring them because you think that they have something you don't. Yeah, maybe that could be true in the present moment, but the mere fact that you can notice it in them just indicates that you're able to get there. Your mind is tracking the patterns of getting there. You do not see something in someone that you're not able to develop within yourself. Whenever you see someone doing something that you want to do or you wish you can do, just know that is the proof you can do it too. You would not be able to perceive certain things in someone if you didn't already have it within you. Shifting gears here, shifting to a different topic, because I had another thought come up that I want to talk about, is the fact that we're all living in our own realities, in our own definition of truth, and perceived truth happens when two realities match, when two inner worlds agree, basically. Everyone's living in their own fucking world with their own subjective reality. And reality connects. We connect with others when our perceptions of reality are the same in that moment. A really small example of this is the fact that compliments and insults are not personal at all. Even compliments are not personal. The only reason it makes you feel anything is because you agree. When someone compliments you, you feel really good inside. Not because they complimented you, but because you agree with what they are saying. If you didn't agree with what they are saying, your realities would not match, and you would not really react to what they said. What makes the realities match and makes that truth feel real subjectively is because you guys are agreeing upon a certain reality. You guys are agreeing upon a certain comment that was made. And the same way for insults, it's not the insult that hurts. It's the fact that you believe it that hurts. It's the fact, because nothing is personal unless you believe it. Nothing affects you unless a part of you believes it. And that goes with the notion I was saying, like, we all live in our own fucking reality. Your reality cannot affect my inner world. Your life does not affect my inner world. It does not affect me unless I agree to it. Unless my inner world for a second matches your inner world. That makes me feel like what you're saying is true. That's what affects my inner world. But in reality, like, and the truth is, we all live in a subjective world. There is no objective truth. what the truth is it's solely based upon what you believe. That is the only thing that feels real. You think that it's because that person said that about you. You think it's the opinions of other people. It's not the outside world. It's how you relate to the outside world. It's if you agree with the opinions, if you agree with what the person is saying, that's what makes it real. You have to understand that like everybody is living with their own beliefs and their own concept of the world based upon their own identity and their own upbringing. Yeah, you guys might feel like you live in the same reality sometimes. You guys see the world in a similar way. Maybe you feel like it is on the outside, but it's only because some part in your inner world agrees with their inner world. That is what makes you perceive an objective truth, but it's still subjective. You just can't tell that they are living in their own inner world. Your inner world just happened to agree. For a while, I thought the truth was just like the amount of agreement, or what the amount of people who have like the same opinion. But that's still, again, not objective reality. Everyone is living in their own inner world. It doesn't matter if 10 people have the same opinion. That doesn't mean that their opinion is the truth just because a more abundant amount shares the same opinion. The truth is what you choose to believe in. Your concept of the world is what affects your whole entire life. It might seem like there's an objective reality, but there is not. You believe that you're what people tell you you are. You're not what people tell you you are. You are the fact that you believe them when they tell you who you are. Because what someone else thinks about you is a mere reflection of their subjective reality. It is not an objective reality. So it doesn't matter what anyone else's opinions are of you if you don't agree. It won't affect your life. It won't affect your reality because you guys aren't living in the same reality, because reality is not objective, it's subjective. If something someone says hurts your feelings or offends you, like makes you feel bad about yourself, they are just a mirror reflecting to you about what you unconsciously believe about yourself. Because nothing affects you unless you personally believe it. And it might not seem that way. You might think life is, no, like someone says something mean and like it hurts my feelings, it's them. But that's not the truth. Like, it's because some part of you believes it. Some part of you sees yourself in the comment they made about you. Because if you did not believe it, it would not affect you. It would literally just be words. And you would know that it's just a reflection of their inner world. Because you have to remember, regardless, and this is the part where this is the part like where I said, reality feels true for both individuals when their inner worlds intersect, when both of them agree on one truth. So you think that it's real, but it's really two inner worlds that are thinking alike for a moment. So if someone insults you or says something mean and out of pocket and it makes you feel bad, those are still two different inner worlds reacting to a stimuli. That person who insulted you is coming from, let's say, trauma, insecurity, because they have negativity within themselves, so they're going to see the negative in you. They're not going to perceive the positive. You react and it hurts you because maybe as a child, your parent called you that insult, or as a child, like, you felt that way once, like with a group of friends. So it triggered that wound in you. You both are still living in your subjective realities. It just happens to coincide. So now you guys are living in what you believe is objective truth. It's not objective truth. It's that two people for one moment have their inner worlds like align for a second, but you can see that they're still coming from two completely different sources. But on the outside, it's so easy to think that it's objective and that that's just the way things are and people have certain opinions of you, but it's coming from two completely different inner worlds. Reality is subjective. It feels objective when people's inner worlds align. But of course, you can't see it from the outside. You can't see that that person isn't saying that thing about you because you are that thing. They're saying that thing about you because it's a reflection of their inner world. And you believe it because it's a reflection of your inner world. That doesn't make it objective truth. It means you guys are both agreeing to the same subjective reality. I don't know if anything I say ever makes sense, but it makes sense to me. And these concepts is how I stay very secure in myself. And I'm not perfect. Like, I also have insecurities, but if you can understand that everyone's living in their own inner world, and they're not seeing you the way you perceive yourself. You think they are because of the language they are using. But human language is limiting. Like you can't comprehend where those physical words are coming from. But they're coming from somewhere particular in that person's inner world that you will never be able to perceive. And you agree with it based upon your inner world that person will never be able to perceive. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy compliments. That doesn't mean that I can't enjoy the things people say to me, but I have the understanding that I only enjoy compliments because some part of me takes it personally. Some part of me believes it. In the same way with insults. A lot of insults don't affect me as much unless it is hitting something that I believe is true about me, something I haven't healed within myself. But for the most part, I have this understanding that everyone is just reflecting their inner world. What they see in me is a reflection of them. That is it. It is never the real version of me. Because there is no exact objective version of me. It's just a bunch of people projecting their inner world onto me and then vocalizing how they feel. And then if I agree with it, I'm like, oh, thank you for that compliment. That feels so good. Only because I believe it. If you can kind of comprehend that there is no objective truth, that just because a huge amount of people share one opinion doesn't make it objective truth. It's still all subjective. Everything is subjective. Everyone is living in their own inner world of subjectivity. People's opinions affect you way less. And when they do affect you, you're not sitting there and being like, wow, like, that person is so mean. I can't believe they said that about me. You're sitting there and asking yourself, what part about me believes what they said is true for it to be hurting me? Because we are not affected by things we don't believe. So honestly, everyone is a mirror. And if you kind of see like the different layers of reality, you're able to use the triggers you have and the interactions you have with people as a mirror to your own subconscious. Like, all of your reactions to people and what they say about you is a direct reflection of things that you still need to work on, things about you that you still have to unpack or discover. So anytime someone says something about me that like hits a tender spot, yeah, it fucking hurts. Yeah, sometimes it makes me feel like insecure. Like, yeah, like, I'm a human too. I'm not fucking perfect. I'm not confident all the time. I just am very psychologically aware. So whenever someone says something about me, if it triggers something in me, if it hurts, then I know there is something in me that believes this statement. Thank you for being that mirror to me, because I'm going to figure out what part of me believes this is true, and I'm going to heal it. Once I heal it, people's comments, that comment won't affect me anymore. And it's really easy to see, because when someone comments something that I have no internal wound about, when I have zero insecurity about, when someone comments something mean and I don't have a particular wound against what they're commenting, I can see clearly that it's just a reflection of their inner world. But again, when we agree with it, we cannot clearly see that it's a reflection of their inner world because we are seeing the comments based upon our unhealed wounds and our inner world. Can you finally comprehend how reality is subjective and it only feels objective when two people agree upon the same thing? We are all mirrors for each other. We are all like constantly triggering one another. And if I'm not triggering you, then you can also see where I'm coming from. Like, the moment someone's comment doesn't feel triggering to me, I have the space to see that it's actually coming from their pain. But if it is triggering for me, I'm not going to sit there and think they're just saying this because they're insecure. I'm going to sit there and think they're fucking right and I feel like shit about myself. Those are like two different interpretations of the same like 3D reality. It's just based upon if you have healed through that wound they are triggering or not. But essentially, when you can see your inner wounds very clearly and you have healed through a lot of them, or you kind of have this clear understanding of reality, you can see so clearly everything that comes out of someone's mouth is just a reflection of their own inner world. Literally, it's never personal. It's not personal, even though it looks like it is, even though on the outside it feels like it is. Every single thing is just a reflection of someone's inner world. Everything they say is just a reflection of their inner world. That's it. It seems like it's not like that because we take things personally. And it's okay to take things personally. That is the only way we would even function, by the way. Like, it's a very human thing to take everything personally. But like I said, the things you take in personally become your truth and your reality. You get to decide what you take personally. When you start realizing like your whole entire world is just like a collection of things that you take personally, things that you truly believe, you can kind of understand the way reality works and the way human dynamics work and people work, and like everything becomes so much clearer, and it allows you to see through people a lot easier. Anytime somebody's talking to me or I hear say anything about me, even if it's a compliment, I immediately like see it as a reflection of their inner world. I don't see it as a reflection of me. Like, even if someone compliments me, says something nice about me, it's not personal. It's a reflection of them. The only thing that makes it personal is that I believe it, which is good. It's okay. Like, that's how we like function in life. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to translate from my inner world today. I've been having a lot of existential talks with my sister. I experienced ego death several months ago, 6-7 months ago, and it changed a lot of my life and a lot of the conversations I have now. But basically, I was just telling my sister how I perceive God to be like behind the eyes of everyone, like every single human. Like, we think we're separate, but it's really like I see the same source through everyone's eyes. Like, all humans are connected to one source. And in that way, I kind of thought about it like, damn, like we're really all just talking to ourselves in different bodies, because our different human bodies have like different experiences and upbringings and traumas and life views, but we're all under the same source. So we're really just talking to ourselves. I don't really know how to explain it. These realizations are like just my concept of the world now after I experienced something so fucking insane, like so spiritually insane. But like, essentially, I started to see that like God is a lot of things, but this is like one part of my realizations about God. Like, God, I like God is in every single person, and it's like the same source in every single person's eyes. Like, it's like we're all inhabiting one energy source through different bodies, if that makes sense. My sister was asking me like, what does that mean for me? Like, does that mean that like none of my ideas are mine and they're all God's? And like, you have to understand like the nuances, and and there's so much to this that like I don't even know if I'm gonna accurately explain. It's almost like innate stuff that you kind of just like have to have like intuition about in your head. Like I don't know how to explain this, so I'm gonna try my best, but it's not that just because we all come from God and everything about us is made from God and we're made in God's image that things aren't our own ideas too. Like I believe we have free will, and I believe we touch on like threads of knowledge. Like all knowledge is in like one coming from source from God, from unconditional divine love. Like there are ideas there that human beings tap into, maybe like different frequencies, but all thoughts and all our ideas are coming from the same source. But every single human picks up on a different idea due to their interest, their internal world, their trauma, their upbringing, their personality. Like we tune into different thoughts from God. And also what we do with the thought is based upon us and our free will. So it's not just, oh, like God does everything and I don't matter and like there's nothing coming from me. You co-create with God. Everything we do is just a co-creation with God. It doesn't mean like, oh, like I fucking suck and God is the only thing that's smart. Because I kind of like went through that too. I went through a lot of stages in that whole entire ego death and Kundalini awakening. But my understanding of it is like we are co-creating with God. And the way we even use the knowledge we tap into is a direct reflection of your own soul and ego. Like our ego is the human part of us, and everyone's identity, everyone's ego, everyone's human selves use the knowledge we tap into from God in a different way. All of our minds work differently. For example, I was telling my sister, like, she's an artist, she's an editor, she's a director. She sees like visuals, she sees like art and colors. I see language, I see words. I like to vocalize. I see diagrams. So me and my sister can tap into the same thought from God, from that same like level of consciousness. We can tap into that same like frequency, get the same idea, but we will interpret it completely differently. We will use it in our lives completely differently. We will use it to help people completely differently. And that is the part of free will. That is the part of being human. That is our ego selves using things from our soul and God and bringing it into the 3D for the world. And in that way, it's not just, oh, like I'm useless because everything is from God. Like, no, we are made in God's image and we are working together to bring God's ideas to life in the human realm. On that note, I'm gonna end this episode here. Thank you guys for listening to me translate my inner world today. I'll see you guys in the next episode.